This is gonna be an audio tutorial on my new pen. I basically made this the only reason I made this is because I seen Tilt's video on his whiteboard marker mod. Okay, listen, I'm not a hater of Tilt. I love Tilt. He's an amazing spinner. There's not a lot of people that spin as good as him, but on YouTube besides, like Mr. Pearl. Mr. Pearl is so much better. He is so good. And he's actually what I'm like getting my style from. But this pen, I'm making this just because I really like Tilt, but I really do not like his marker mod. I think it's too long. I think it's too light. He used really cheap parts. Most of his videos, when the marker mod is actually present, it's wobbly, like it would wobble back and forth while you're, like when it rolls and shit. And I can't stand that, bro. I have pen OCD. I'm really big in pen culture. I don't like pre-made mods at all. I make pre-made mods only because I'm good at it. Tilt is good at it, but he doesn't care. Like, obviously he made a pen that looks like I Suck V3, which is very impressive. So this is my version. It has nothing in common with his pen. It's just better in every way. It's very complicated, so I'm gonna get into like how I did it. Parts that you need is two super tip barrels. You need a KT cap, a CK, a CT cap, which is one of these caps. Actually, I think it's a little bit of a thinner one. It's a different one. So you're gonna want a small cap that's like roughly the same size as a super tip. See, like there's no bumping or nothing. It's flush. It's perfect. All right, my bad. My girlfriend called me. So you need a connector piece that's gonna be big enough, right? And you also don't want it to be small, right? It has to be flush. That's the only difficult thing that's gonna be about this pen. And then, some super tips. I'll show you. These are old super tips. The new super tips are kind of actually, let me not be lazy. I'm just gonna get some better ones. Okay, so this is the super tip. You wanna cut like this nub. Actually, you wanna cut halfway on this nub, maybe a little bit more depending on how big your connector piece is. But if you think about it, you need to put in two sides of one of these. So you need to cut it so that they're almost touching. You don't want them to be touching, otherwise you can't close it all the way. You want them to barely be like approaching each other. So cut it in a way that is like right like here, if you can visualize that. I don't want to take my pen apart, so that's why I'm doing it this way. But once you have two ends that are cut, you want to face them inwards. So the back plug side is actually going to be where the tips and grips go after you have that connector piece. I really wish I had the Pacific cap of this. I know this came off of one of the like Dr. KT pens. I just don't know which cap this is. It's one of the smaller, thin ones. And that's all the information I have on it. I ordered it from Amazon. I didn't like the pen, and I ended up cutting it. And it's just been spare parts ever since then. But then recently, like last night, I made this, and it just worked perfectly. So it's really beautiful, actually. I'm not gonna lie. So now that we got that out the way as best as I could, we're gonna just go ahead and go on the Crayola Super Tip part of the modding. So this part, I don't like long pens, like I said earlier. So I cut off a little bit. I don't know how much. Shorter than my Dr. KT, which this is extended, by the way. This pen is completely custom. Like, you're not gonna find anything like this. And sadly, I took off the little silver piece, what made this pen. Bro, I'm gonna cry. Like, actually, I'm gonna just stop recording because. Okay, so anyways, I digress. And unfortunately, I have hiccups now, so that's great. So, fuck. Listen, you can cut as much as you want off to make it as long as you want it. I just went with a little bit longer just because I want it to be a power stick. And then it has the weight to back up the length. So after you decide how long you want it, basically the ends, just imagine there's nothing on here. Just imagine that this little white end is the end, right? You want a zebra pen, right? These zebra pens, you can get them at Walgreens. You can get them anywhere. You can get them at a fucking food pantry. And they're metal tips, so it's really good. What you want to do is, I'll plug in a picture of the pen. But you want to take that tip. This is not the tip. This is an air fit grip. You're gonna also need air fit grips. Air fit tips. Holy shit. You're also gonna need air fit tips. And what you want to do is you want to stuff that zebra tip in, and only like a little part of it is gonna be showing. You want to put a profile grip. Imagine that this is a profile. It's not a profile. Imagine it's a profile. You want to put that on top of the piece that is showing, that is exposed. So it's going to look like that. That you can actually see it through the grip. So only a little bit of this piece, like half of this grip, is actually the tip that's protruding out. And then you want to put the air fit grip, stuff it on top of that extra part of grip. It does not rattle. It's solid. Does not rattle. It's a great pen. And the reason why it doesn't rattle without the use of glue is because that extra little grip that's protruding out gives the air fit cushion. And then you can use whatever grip you want, whatever grip that fits on the outside. I would prefer a sailor. A sailor would be beautiful. A white sailor or a clear sailor, black sailor, any color sailor would be beautiful on this. But that's basically how you make it. The extras, I have a little sailor green, gray grips right here. Then I have black pinwheel ring, white pinwheel ring. It could look any way that you want it to. But yeah, pretty much. So it's a power stick. I don't know how much this weighs. It's in the same kind of category of weight as this. And this thing's a beast. This thing is 27 grams. This, if you haven't seen my video on this, this has Signo tips. I'm pretty sure they're Signo tips. No, they're tool tips, my bad. Tool tips are super glued inside this black cap. And then on top of it, the Dr. Grip tip goes perfectly on top of it. So it looks like there's nothing. It looks like a normal KT, right? But it's not. It really has an extra tip that's jammed inside this tip. So this pen is extremely heavy. It's amazing for power. This is one of the best spinning pens I've spun that I've made personally. So I'm never taking that apart. It's super glued, and this was, for the next 10 years, it's gonna be just like this. That's how perfect this pen is. This pen, it's pretty good. It's not as heavy. I would say maybe it's 3 grams lighter, 4 grams lighter maybe. It's quite a bit lighter, but it still has a lot of weight, still has a lot of potential for power. And that's amazing, mainly the whole thing. And plus it has a center dot. So that's why my pen is better than Tilt's whiteboard marker. Tilt's whiteboard marker looks better than my pen. It doesn't spin as good as my pen. It doesn't have as good as momentum as my pen. And yeah, my pen has its own essence really, because Tilt's whiteboard marker is remnants of iSuck V3. This is completely new. If you're gonna make a pen, your own pen, and you're gonna make it popular, don't make it look like somebody else's pen, and don't use cheap parts. That's the video. It's been your day. Take care.